I feel like it was something that was inevitable. Like, peak nostalgia for the 90s and especially the 80s is dying down. And Y2K and even 2010s, you know, is what most people are nostalgic for now. At least in terms of the newest trendy nostalgia. Futiger Aero feels like a part 2 to Vaporwave. There's a lot of cool stuff being put out there, but the depth and range of Vaporwave is lacking. Like, musically, it's PS2 DMB, and visually, it's PS1, like, low poly, you know, and, like, the colorful IMAX of the era. It's ironic because I'm seeing people post, like, remember this? And it'll be, like, a St. Pepsi / Macintosh Plus clip or something, you know? Like, God, I'm getting old. Vaporwave, like, has become, you know, and will be nostalgic. And I think that parts in the 90s and 80s, and thus by extension, Vaporwave, will be an aesthetic that's well remembered. Kind of like how certain design aspects of the 70s and like even the 50s are considered timeless. And then you have like the caricatures of those periods. You know, basically stuff that's only cool to like boomers, you know, the surface level, like Spirit Halloween costume-esque stuff that's like the 50s housewife aesthetic or the 70s disco fashion. And then stuff that's timelessly cool from that era, you know, like the Art Deco architecture of like the 50s, and like the interior design of the 70s, for example. You know, that stuff's getting popular again. Surface level stuff from the 90s, like, you know, that cup design or the arcade rugs, will be the millennial nostalgia, the same way that like boomer nostalgia is the diner, for example. You know, I think Vaporwave was much more than like remember the 90s and much more like a reflection on what it was, you know, for better and for worse. You know, definitely deeper than like remember this, you know, which is ironic because when you like look up Vaporwave on Google Images, you see that watered down like surface level of like what most regular people think of when you say Vaporwave, and that's like not actually what it was, you know. It's more like the synthwave aesthetics, whatever, but you know. Me and my head-ass friends would like sit and speculate that this stuff would come back around, you know, kind of like a time of great societal stress thing for us, you know, except we called it hyperwave, as we figured it would look much more like Y2K. Vaporwave was a pretty big arts movement, and I think it'll come in waves for nerds of our age bracket. You know, its influence is definitely felt, like the analog visual style. You know, it's starting to become an equivalent to like the shooting on film look, and I think it's still respected in like, you know, film spaces, for example. You know, thus the saying, "Vaporwave is dead. Long live Vaporwave." You know. Anyway, thank you for listening to my pretentious crash out.